Every now and then I get somebody reaching out who takes umbrage with my usage of certain words. Not the word umbrage. Nobody's ever complained about that word. That's a fantastic, cool, awesome word. If you don't like that, you're a crazy person. Now, the words that people typically will reach out in maybe a newsletter. In particular, a couple weeks ago, I did a newsletter called How to Unfuck Your Life. That was based off a video that we did. And, there's a lot of people, not a lot of people, maybe I think I got one person, maybe two people that reached out and they're like, hey, using profanity, using curse words, using that kind of language detracts from the power of your message. It doesn't add anything. And I disagree. I 100% disagree. And I know this is a contrarian take and this might maybe ruffle some feathers, but my stance on this is that there is no such thing as foul language. There is no such thing as profanity or curse words or whatever. Words are simply a vehicle for conveying meaning and emotion. If you don't like the message, using different words isn't going to change that. And if you do like the message, then who cares what the words were? The words are just the medium. And the thing is that words have this ability to evoke certain emotions. So when I use the word fuck, that hits different than when I say fornicate, right? Or, drats, right? We can elicit different emotional reactions based off the words that we use. But the words themselves are not bad. They're not evil. They're not to be avoided. If anything, as a communicator, a storyteller, you should use every color on your color wheel. You should paint with all the colors of the wind. And I wrote about this the other day on Twitter, and one guy in particular, he came back and he said, so if they aren't foul or inappropriate, then you don't care if I say nasty things in front of your daughter, and you're not offended by insulting words directed at your wife. And to that I say, listen, the words aren't nasty and disgusting. It's the message you're trying to convey with them. I can convey equally nasty messages without offensive words. The words aren't the problem, the message is. And when we fixate on the words themselves, we're losing sight of the trees and the forest and all the other things. We're losing track of what actually matters, which is the message that's trying to be conveyed. So, is using curse words a good thing? Is it foul or is it profane? It depends on the context of the message. If it's in service of the message, then the words then use them. If it's not, then you've chosen the wrong words. And it's no different whether it's an offensive word or a non-offensive word. And I use offensive with air quotes here because, again, I don't believe in offensive. If you use the wrong word, your message is going to have less power. And so that's a decision that you need to make as a storyteller, as a creator, is like, what is the right word given the context? In the context of How to Unfuck Your Life, that was the right word because what I was trying to convey is a very deep, visceral reaction to the fact that my life sucked. It was fucked. And sugarcoating that doesn't sell the full picture of what was happening. So I don't know. I wanted to share that because I think we tend to fixate sometimes on the wrong things. We make problems out of things that aren't actually problems. So at least that's my perspective. I'd be open and interested to hear what the counter argument is. I've yet to have anybody make a persuasive counter argument as to why certain words should be avoided, but I'm open to it. I'd love to hear from you guys. So shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. I will engage with it in good faith and try to come to a better understanding if in fact you do think that these words should be avoided. But let me know. If not, if you're in the same camp as me, then rock on. You fucking rock. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate each and every single one of you taking the time to let me in your ear holes. I'll do my best to honor that very, very sacred privilege. And that's going to do it for me. We'll catch you in the next episode. For me, because creativity is one of my highest values, and yet creating things is hard. It is very hard. And my internal procrastinator doesn't want to create things. It wants to sit and just gets distracted and not do the work. And on those days when I fail to live up to my standard and my rule of creating something, I always feel worse for it. I always regret it. I always feel less than. And so showing up and creating something is just one of the highest expressions for me, at least. This doesn't have to be for you, but I do believe that fulfillment can only be created. And that's why one of my core rules is to create something every single day. Rule number 3 is to write 1,000 words every day. And this is kind of in the vein of creating something, but this is more just about clarifying my thoughts and taking the time to hone this craft and being very much more specific. With creating something every day, that could be this video. This is a great example. I'm creating something right now that could not exist without me. But the writing, that's sitting down, putting pen to paper, finger to keyboard, and that's hard, it's laborious, and it's a process that continually requires discipline on my side to show up and do the work. But literally every time I do it, I walk away having learned something new about myself or the world, or coming to some new insight. And it's a process that, more so than any other skill that I've acquired in my life, has had the biggest impact. Writing every single day. 1,000 words is maybe it's a lot of words for most people, but for me at this point, it's actually very, very doable. I can do that in like 40 minutes and 30 minutes if I'm really cranking. So it doesn't take a ton of time, but it's a foundational habit that trickles down and affects everything else in my life positively. Rule number 4 is to stop when the work is done. And there's two sides to this. There's two sides. One is to don't stop doing the work until you finish. Keep doing it. Don't quit just because you're tired. Don't quit when you lose motivation. You're done when the job is done. But the other side of this is that as an entrepreneur or as a high achiever, you can have a very hard time leaving things behind, leaving work at work and not taking it everywhere with you. And so the other part of this is to know that when you have stopped, you need to have stopped. You need to put it away and be okay with that. And that's something that I'm still working on. These days, that's the harder part of this one. Stop when the work is done. I don't need to be told to keep working until it's done. Like, I will work well past that point. And that's the problem. So having this as a rule, you stop when the work is done. And again, that's really hard because the work is never done technically, especially as an entrepreneur. There's always more to do. But this is where getting clear about what's it mean to win the day, defining the parameters of success early, and then holding yourself to that and giving yourself permission, or at least requiring it of yourself, to stop when the work is done. The rest of your life will thank you. The last rule is to spend 1 hour every day with Jamie. And so that is make time for love and companionship, and partnership. And it's hard sometimes in the sense that we're both very, very busy people with very ambitious goals in life, and getting that fourth rule, stopping when the work is done, is critical to being able to have that hour to spend uninterrupted, not on the phone, not on the computer, with Jamie. And granted, like, that it's not always like the most high quality time in terms of like, oh, we're just watching a Netflix show or something like that. But the important thing is to put in the reps, put in the time, and making time for that, to make it a priority. So those are 5 of my rules. I don't know what your rules are, but I'd love to learn about them. I'd love to hear about them. So shoot me a DM, find me on Twitter at Anthony Vicino, find me on Instagram at the Anthony Vicino, or find me on LinkedIn at Anthony Vicino, or shoot me an email, shoot me a comment. Let me know, what are the rules that guide your life that you have found value in? So I'd love to hear from you guys. Until then, stay hyper focused, my friends.